Hi everyone, I'm Abby and I'm doing my presentation on the city of Vanport, which used to be a city between Portland, Oregon and Vancouver, Washington. Vanport was a city built in 1942 for people who were working in Portland shipyards during and after World War II. The city was poorly built in 10 months on land that used to be a part of Forest Lake, which was drained in 1920, and this region was also part of the Columbia River floodplain. Um, the city was protected by levees and dikes, which held strong for about 6 years, but in 1948, the city was completely destroyed by flooding. 1948 brought heavy snowfall, creating a deep snowpack within the mountains during the winter months, and a cool spring, which brought very little snow melt until about mid-May, when the temperatures began to rise and brought high rains, which caused a lot of snow melt, which overwhelmed the Columbia River and caused flooding all throughout the Columbia River. The average volume of the river was 540,000 cubic feet per second, with peak river heights hitting 31 feet above sea level. The dike along the river upstream from Vanport couldn't hold up, and when it broke, citizens had about 40 minutes to evacuate. The flood lasted about 20 days, starting on May 23rd, and completely wiped out the city. It only took an hour for there to be around 10 feet of standing water in the whole city after the dike broke. Over 18,000 people were displaced from this flood, and many found themselves in Portland, causing another problem all in itself. It doesn't surprise me that this flood destroyed an entire city. The city itself was sitting on a floodplain and an old lake bed right next to the river, so with any flooding, it was bound to be damaged. Also, the speedy construction of the entire city meant that they didn't build in preparation for possible floods, and they were extremely dependent on the levees and dikes to protect the city, which obviously did not hold up. As we can see here as well, there is a history of strong floods in the past, one happening in 1933 and another in 1894, all relatively close, so it's not uncommon for there to be large floods in this area, and they have a history of seasonal flooding or river levels rising, causing damage along the river. This flood should not have come as a surprise to the city, and the city shouldn't have been built there in the first place.